Hey, what's going on, No Nation? It's your guy, Kelvin Hunt, editor of ChopChat.com. Welcome to the Built for Playmakers YouTube channel. Hope you guys are doing well. This is the second video of today. If you haven't had a chance to check out the first one, talks about FSU losing a couple of their top commits over the past 3 years. I explain why that's the case. And make sure you check that out. I think it's a good perspective on how things go and why a lot of people are overreacting to that particular thing. But in this particular video, we're going to talk about the quality of the recruiting classes among the big three schools in Florida. So FSU, Miami, and Florida. Of course, Miami fans will tell you they have the best recruiting class because the ranking says so. Florida's recruiting class fell off a cliff, as I predicted it would. And so in this particular video, we're going to look at more so Florida State and Miami's, because Florida's recruiting class is not even top 10. But we'll start with Florida, just to be fair, I suppose. But yeah, FSU has the best class among the three. It's not particularly close, and I'm going to tell you why. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, turn your notifications on, because like I said, I'm going to be putting out content, pretty often here. So make sure you don't miss a thing, and we'll go from there. So let's see here. I need to go to Florida. So Florida has the number 16 composite ranking. They signed 18 players. They somehow managed to hold on to DJ Lagway and LJ McCray. How they did that, I have no idea. But they got a few blue chip players in here. So yeah, I mean, it could have been worse, I suppose. Really, if they'd have lost DJ Lagway and LJ McCray, that definitely would have. Man, they might have fired Billy Napier today. But yeah, so top 16 composite. They were number 3 for like a large part of the recruiting cycle, but the games got played, and we see the result of that. Also, Napier firing coaches and not seemingly having a replacement before the early signing period probably did him no favors. I'm not sure that was a smart move on his behalf. So there you have it. Florida's class is not even in the discussion, so to speak. But they do. Let me see what their overall per player ranking is. Let me see. Now, their per player ranking is 91.31, which is actually higher than FSU's. But when we look at all of the positions, you'll see that FSU has a bit more depth across the board. So let's look at Miami's class. Now, Miami will tell you they have the best class. We're going to go down this list, and I want to tell you why it's not. So first of all, Miami has the number 3 composite ranking solely because they signed 27 players. 27 players, and not even half of them are ranked as blue chip players. So that's telling you need to have a high blue chip ratio to and you need to address the needs to make it a worthwhile class. So look, you got to give them props for Justin Scott. I think he's going to be a heck of a player. Got him out of Chicago, Illinois. Top player nationally. He is number 15 player nationally. So like I said, you got to give them the props there on that one. Of course, they flipped Armando Blunt, 16-year-old defensive tackle, or defensive end, I guess. But he's a guy that's not going to contribute for at least a year, if not more, with him needing to mature physically and all that good stuff. So, good player with potential, but we'll see. I would have said the same thing had he signed with FSU. He needs time to mature and get ready to play college football. Saquon Patterson, he's a player. Props for him. Marquise Lightfoot, you know, highly ranked guy off the edge. So give them props for that. Nye Carr, you know, he's a guy that's ranked highly, 5'11", 170. Josiah Trader, this is a crazy case right here. Trader never took an official visit anywhere else. So whoever's advising that young man needs to be fired. That is dumb. That makes no sense. When you have the opportunity to go see other things, yeah. Josiah is a talented kid, but he's very raw. It'll be a while before he'll contribute. Chance Robinson, solid guy. They did flip Adarius Hayes from Florida, 6'4", 210. But linebackers, it takes a while for those guys to contribute. I mean, look at Wesley Besant. I mean, he's been there for a minute, and he's still not, you know, I mean, he's a player, but he ain't really, you know, an impact guy yet, right? So then they got a tight end, Elijah Lofton, Tavius Jones here, Markel Bell, who's a guy, he's a JUCO guy, so he could play a little bit early. But once you get down here, you got a linebacker that's 6'3", 187 pounds. You got Booker Pickett Jr., who's 6'3", 205. It's going to be 2 years before he'll contribute. You got another edge, 6'4", 205. You know, it'll be a while before he'll contribute. They got their running back flipped to Alabama, the top guy. I forgot his name, Kevin something. So they got this guy, Jordan Lau from Ohio State. So, you know, looks like a decent kid. Ron Mack is a 5'11", 165-pound safety. 3-star. Everybody else from here is 3 stars. 3-star U. 3-star U. 3-star U. Offensive tackle, cornerback from St. Thomas Aquinas. It's a good high school program, though. Isaiah Thomas, safety. Judd Anderson. I mean, a project quarterback. Another edge who is from Alabama that didn't have offers from Alabama or Auburn. Got another running back, 3-star. Got another offensive lineman that is these guys down here. Look, when you look at this, these guys are in the thousands of player ranking nationally. He's the 1,062nd player nationally. When you look at this guy right here, he is 1,200 player, 1,227 player nationally. This guy right here, the 63rd player nationally. And they got a kicker. So, man, listen, there's a whole lot of mid in this class. It's not 50% blue chip overall. They don't have a quarterback that's highly rated. That's the most important position. That's the second recruiting class in a row that Mario has missed on. You know, like I said, it reminds me of Jimbo's 2017 recruiting class that was ranked like top, I think it was number 6. You know, you had Cam Akers, you had Marvin Wilson, and a couple other guys. Really hot, top heavy, you know, 5 or 6 top guys. And then the rest of it was a bunch of guys that did absolutely nothing. And I'm pretty sure that's how this class is going to map out, because Miami does not have a strong track record of developing guys. I mean, if you want a couple of names, we can throw them out there. Najee Kelly, who used to be committed to FSU, went to Miami, had done absolutely nothing. We mentioned Besant. He hadn't really done too much. They had Jaleel Skinner a couple years ago. It was a 5-star guy. You know, we flipped him from Alabama. That's a guy that FSU pulled his offer. I won't get into why, but they pulled his offer. They were recruiting him, and he was a lean at one time. And he is in the portal now and never did a thing while he was at Miami. So So Miami's track record as far as developing guys isn't very strong. So when you got a whole bunch of mid here and a bunch of guys that, are going to take a while to develop, they are probably not going to get on the field, and they'll probably wind up in the transfer portal. So let's look at FSU's class. So the top ranked guy is the quarterback, Luke Krummenhoek. Shout out to the coaching staff. Offered the guy before he was even a starting quarterback in high school. Played safety at the time. Has developed into a top 50 player overall. Guy will enroll early and will be competing for a starting spot probably in 2025, definitely by 2026. Charles Lester III, another top the cornerback, the defensive back. So FSU has a huge edge at quarterback, huge edge at defensive back, huge edge at tight end, huge edge at wide receiver. I mean, they got 4 quality offensive linemen. And then I guess the edge that you could give Miami would be at defensive tackle. But defensive tackle is an area that you can probably supplement through the portal more so than the developing high school guys. Because think about it. I mean, FSU developed Joshua Farmer. They are developing Daniel Lyons. But they got, Braden Fisk from the portal. They got Fabian Levitt from the portal. So they developed those guys, but it takes a while. You got to be a top tier guy at defensive tackle to get on the field early. So that's a position that usually has a high bust rate, kind of similar to offensive lineman. Okay, but back to FSU. So Charles Lester, look, the number 39 player in the composite. Let me share my screen there. Number 39 player in the composite. Landon Thomas is the top tight end. That's the crazy part. FSU had these guys. Charles Lester was a 5-star. Landon Thomas was a 5-star. And Cameron Davis was a 5-star at one point. Of course, you got guys that probably never played football in their life, ranking guys and trying to evaluate tape. So take that for what it's worth. But moving on to Jamari Howard. Jamari Howard as a 110 guy nationally. Quality player here. Kai Bates, a top 100 guy. Top 100 guy right there. Excellent length. He's going to be a player. Then we got Manasseh Atiti, who has wild differences in his recruiting rankings. Composite 4-star. 247 has him as a 129 player overall nationally, number 11 offensive tackle. Some of this includes ESPN's rankings, which are not that accurate because they don't really put resources towards the recruiting like they used to. And let's see. Then you have Cameron Davis. We mentioned him. Cameron Davis is the top 100, 69 player nationally. Number 3 running back in the country. LaWayne McCoy, a South Florida dog, stole him right up from under Mario's nose. That's a guy that a lot of Miami people thought that Miami would flip. The class got him to stick. Number 194 player nationally, number 8 athlete nationally. Makai Danzy, Olympic track speed here, will be playing running back for FSU, kind of a clone of Lawrence Toafili, but faster and a little taller, longer. Number 10 athlete nationally. All right. So then you get to Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore's number 165 player nationally. So you see the difference. I mean, we're like halfway down. We're halfway down FSU's recruiting list here, and we still have guys. This guy's ranked. He's got a 93 ranking. A 93 ranking. Jonathan Daniels, B.J. Gibson, Camden Fryer. For all these guys are composite 4 stars. Denaz White. So this is Denaz White is a guy that, you know, he's a project. It'll take a little bit before, you know, he'll need to reshape his body, lose a few pounds, and then you know, get stronger. But it'll take a year or two for him to contribute. So like I said, this is where I would give Miami an edge at like Justin Scott compared to Denaz White. Justin Scott's obviously a better player. D.D. Holmes. We talked about Miami's edge guys, most of them being, you know, 6'4", 205. It'll be a while before they get on the field. Look, D.D. Holmes is 6'6", 250. Physically, he's closer to being ready to play than any edge that Miami guy has. And he's a composite 4-star 90 grade. So you see the difference. So you can look at the rankings, and the rankings also include a lot of what I would call projection, you know, what the potential the player has. You know, they try to look at a frame and project, oh, you know, he could put on 30 pounds or whatever. This dude's already 6'6", 250. He can contribute earlier than most of the guys that Miami has. So moving down here, Ty Hilton, 6'4", 270. Jaden Parrish, linebacker, 6'1", 210. Ricky Knight, another South Florida dog that they took from right up under Miami's nose, 4-star. Jamari Flagg is a South Florida kid from Miami. We'll see with him. You know, I'm not. When he signed, I thought he would. I thought he was a player that, you know, schools would kind of flock to more so, but that really didn't happen. So we'll see with him. Again, I would give Miami the edge there at defensive tackle. Tamir Hickman Collins, 6'1", 218. You know, typical linebacker that Randy Shannon likes, that kind of like Kalen DeLoach, should be able to cover in space, should be able to come downhill once they get in the weight room, get a little stronger, all that good stuff. Jaden Todd, 6'6", 315. And so let's look at this right here. So he is an 1122 player nationally. 6'6", 315. So with offensive linemen, it'll take a while for him to you know, develop and contribute. But there's only one more player left in the class, and that's Jake Weinberg, the kicker. You know, we got one guy. Let me click on Tamir here. Yeah, Tamir's you know, 894 nationally. So they got one guy. They got one guy in the 1000s composite. Miami has like 4 or 5 guys, right? So when you're looking at FSU's class, like I said, they got a higher per player average than Miami, and that's with them flipping Armando Blunt. They signed 22. Miami signed 27. And so whenever you go and look at the composite rankings, I mean, there's only 289. Miami has a 289. FSU has, so there's 15-point difference between FSU and Miami's class, but Miami has 5 more commits. Look at this. 15 blue chips. Miami has 11. Miami has 14 3-stars. FSU has more blue chips than Miami has. They have almost as many 3-stars as FSU has blue chips. That's crazy. So when you look at needs, quarterback, I'm talking about impact positions: quarterback, wide receiver, running back, defensive back, tight end, offensive line. I say is a wash, but defensive end, FSU has D.D. Holmes, who's more ready to contribute than any guy that Miami has. And they'll take, you know, they already got Marvin Jones Jr. from the portal. They'll probably take at least one more guy from the portal. And that's the smart approach that Mike Norvell does. He doesn't waste scholarships on guys on Project 3 stars that he doesn't believe that can contribute at some point. Mario, it's almost like Mario intentionally knew he knew they sucked on the field this year. So he knew he needed to try to get some type of recruiting win. So he took a bunch of guys that are 3 stars just to boost his ranking, to try to get a top 10 class. And he did. So credit to him. Whatever, on paper it looks good, but I promise you, when we revisit this class, just like if you go back to last year's class for Miami and the 2022 class for Miami, you'll see there's a ton of busts on those guys because they get processed out, they don't contribute, get hurt, whatever. So, like I said, FSU has the best class. Got impact more positions, higher per player average. And again, they didn't waste a lot of spaces taking guys that are projects. So instead of taking projects, they can now use those spaces on portal guys who can make more of an impact on the field in 2024, as opposed to hoping that a bunch of 3 stars develop and contribute over the next 2 or 3 years. So there you have it. That is the breakdown between FSU, Miami, and Florida. So, so you Miami guys, I know you're piping up the number 3 ranking, but it's fool's gold. It's paperweight. It's a paper champ because there's not a whole lot of depth on that recruiting class. A lot of guys are the mid. So again, FSU took the smart approach. They'll use those spaces that they didn't use for high schoolers in the portal. And we know FSU the portal king, baby. So be patient. FSU is going to start making some moves here in the portal, and we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. But when it comes down to it, FSU has been beating Miami with lesser talent to start with. And this is the most talented class that FSU signed out of high school. So they're going to do their thing in the portal, and then what's going to happen on the field. So, yeah. FSU's up, baby. It's all good. And make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notifications on. I'll be back pretty quickly with some more content. So appreciate your support, and go Noles.